Ask anyone when the modern UFO phenomenon began, and they'll tell you Roswell, July 1947, or maybe Kenneth Arnold's famous sighting over Mount Rainier. But they're wrong. It started before that. It started with rain of molten metal, a dead dog, and a terrifying warning delivered in a seaside diner.
Welcome back. Today we're investigating the Maury Island Incident. It was perhaps the messiest, most confusing, and most tragic UFO story on record. It's a story that the FBI labeled a massive hoax, but one that resulted in the actual deaths of 2 military intelligence officers, and crucially, it is the origin of a cultural icon, the Men in Black. Let's enter the fog.
The date is June 21st, 1947. Harold Dahl is a harbor patrolman, scavenging logs on Puget Sound near the eastern shore of Maury Island. He's on his boat, the North Queen, along with his son, Charles, and 2 crewmen. Oh, and their dog. According to Dahl's later testimony, around 2:00 p.m., they look up and see 6 very strange aircraft. Dahl described them not as saucers, but as donut-shaped, about 100 feet in diameter, with a hole in the center. They are silent, metallic, and hovering about 2,000 feet up.
Dahl claims 5 of the craft were circling around one in the center, which seemed to be malfunctioning. It was losing altitude. Suddenly, there's a dull boom.
The center craft begins spewing material. First, light metal sheets that drift down like confetti. Then, heavier, hot, slag-like material rains down onto the boat. It's chaos. The hot slag hits Dahl's son, burning his arm. It kills the family dog instantly. The water around the boat is boiling with steam. Dahl beaches the boat on Maury Island to escape the deluge, taking photos of the strange craft before they accelerate out of sight toward the Pacific Ocean.
Look what we just discovered here on the beach of Maury Island. Sighting of the UFO donut, an actual donut. Inscription on the sands of the beach.
Is it possible that Mike here had made this donut 100%? They collect samples of the strange metal, treat the boys' wounds, and head back to Tacoma. Dahl tells his supervisor, a man named Fred Chrisman, who we'll talk a lot about later. What happened? Chrisman goes to the island, claims he sees the slag himself, and they decide they have the story of the century. But someone else knew about it first. This is the moment the Maury Island story transcends a simple UFO sighting and becomes legendary. The next morning, June 22nd, Harold is eating breakfast at a downtown Tacoma diner. A man approaches him at his booth, which this is not even true. I'll just wing it.
Do live.
Yeah, we'll just do a fucking live.
Dahl described him as wearing a pristine black suit. He looked like an average government G-man, but something was off. The man didn't ask questions, he gave answers. According to Dahl, this stranger recounted the entire event of the previous day in minute detail. The donut crafts, the dog, the burns. Things Dahl hadn't told anyone yet.
This is it. While folklore always had terrifying dark figures, this was widely considered the first modern report of the Men in Black related to the UFO phenomenon. Before Will Smith, before the comic books, there was Harold Dahl's breakfast companion. He set the template: uncanny knowledge, monotone delivery, threatening aura, and the demand for silence.
Three days later, pilot Kenneth Arnold sees 9 high-speed objects near Mount Rainier, just a few miles from Maury Island. The press coins the term flying saucer. The craze begins.
Dahl's supervisor, Fred Chrisman, sees Arnold's story in the paper and reaches out. He tells Arnold, "Hey, I saw you in the air. We have pieces of them on the ground." Arnold arrives in Tacoma to investigate. He's skeptical of Chrisman and Dahl. They seem slippery. He wants backup. So he calls the Army Air Forces, and they just show up.
2 experienced intelligence officers, Captain William Davidson and Lieutenant Frank Brown, fly up from Hamilton Field in California in a B-25 bomber. They meet Dahl and Chrisman in a Tacoma hotel room. They see the slag. They interview the witnesses.
Now here's where the story gets murky. According to Kenneth Arnold's later book on the subject, the military men seemed unimpressed. They thought the slag looked like ordinary smelter waste. They were ready to leave.
Davidson and Brown loaded a box of the Maury Island slag into their B-25 and took off around 2 a.m. on August 1st, heading back to base.
Minutes later, near Kelso, Washington, the left engine caught fire. The wing sheared off. The plane plummeted. 2 crewmen managed to bail out, but Davidson and Brown went down with the ship. They were the first casualties of the UFO phenomenon.
Suddenly, this wasn't just a weird story about donut ships. 2 decorated officers were dead. The FBI got involved immediately, and their conclusion was brutal.
J. Edgar Hoover took a personal interest in this case. The FBI investigation was swift. They determined the Maury Island Incident was a complete fabrication, concocted by Fred Crisman and Harold Dahl to sell their story to a fantasy magazine in Chicago. FBI analysis of the slag showed it was common slag from a local smelter, easily found on the shores of Puget Sound, used as road fill.
Under FBI interrogation, Dahl allegedly cracked. He admitted the slag was fake. The photos he took were fogged and useless, and he made up the man in black to add to the drama.
And then there's Fred Crisman. He's a rabbit hole into himself, a known con artist, a perennial political candidate, and later, strangely, subpoenaed by Jim Garrison during the JFK assassination investigation.
Crisman was a professional weaver of the tall tales, so case closed. It was a hoax that tragically got 2 men killed. Maybe. But Kenneth Arnold, the man who started it all, went to his grave believing something happened on Maury Island. He believed Dahl and Crisman were pressured by the government
to confess to a hoax, cover up the death of these 2 officers, and the reality of the strange metal. And remember that B-25 crash? The official report blamed a mechanical failure. The official report blamed a mechanical failure. Mechanical failure. Mechanical failure. Failure. I can't. I can't even.
How many ever seen suck?
I haven't ever seen you suck this bad.
The official report blamed a mechanical failure, but some witnesses on the ground reported seeing the plane being buzzed by a silent, disc-shaped craft right before the engine caught fire.
Today, Maury Island is quiet. There's a small memorial plaque, but few visitors. It sits in the shadow of Roswell, the forgotten prologue to the UFO age.
Whether Harold Dahl saw alien donuts drop molten metal or whether he and a local con man just wanted to make a quick buck, they achieved something monumental. They introduced the narrative glue that holds conspiracy theories together.
They gave us the silencers, the agents of the status quo. The Maury Island incident may have been fake,
but the men in black it created are very, very real in our collective imagination.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the weird, hit that subscribe button and the bell so the men in black don't wipe your memory of this channel.
Let me know in the comments, do you think Maury Island was a hoax
or the first cover-up? Stay curious, my friends. That's Old Spice song.